Hello, welcome to Master Mathematics. My name is Mr. A, and in this video, you are going to learn how to multiply decimals. So, as you can see here, we have 4 steps for multiplying decimals. Step 1 is that you are going to rewrite the equation so that the numbers are stacked on top of one another. So this will come in handy if, it's a word problem or something like that where it's not written all nice and neat for you. You're going to want to rewrite the problem first. And hey, if it is already given to you all nicely written, you could just skip that step. After you do that, you are going to ignore the decimal points at first, and you're just going to multiply. So I actually want to write just a simple example for you here. So let's say we have 5/10, and we're going to multiply that by, again, I'm going to keep it super simple here, 2/10. All right. So I've done step number 1 where I rewrote the equation so this way they're stacked on top of one another. And from here, as it says, I'm just going to multiply the numbers together. So 2 times 5 is 10. Carry the 1. Cool. 2 times 0 is 0 plus 1, 10. And then underneath it would just be 0. So I'm not even going to do that right now. Okay, now it says to count how many total decimal places exist in the original 2 numbers. So what I'm looking for is how many digits are to the right of the decimal point. So in 0.5 or 5/10, there is 1 digit, so that's 1. All right, and I'm actually going to write that there in a different color. So this way we have it. All right, so I'm going to write just 1 right here. So this way I know. And in the second number there, which is 2/10 or 0.2, we also have 1 decimal point. So I've already got my red marker, and I'm just going to write 1 here. So this way we know. Now, 1 plus 1, that's going to give us a total of 2. All right, so this way I know. I'm going to make my little bar there. This way I know that I added. All right, so I've got 2 total decimal points. So step 3 said to count how many total decimal places exist in the 2 original numbers. So in this one, there are 2. And now number 4, we are going to insert the decimal point at the end of the number. So our number here in our product is 10. So I'm going to insert the decimal point here at the end. And I'm going to use my red here. So this way we don't get confused. And then I'm going to move it to the left by the total number of spaces you counted. So I counted 2 total spaces, so I'm going to move it 1 and 2 spaces to the left. And now that is where I'm going to put my decimal point. And I finish with a product of 0.1 or 1/10. All right, so I hope seeing the example helped, but we've got 2 more examples that we're going to go over right now. So the first example here is 0.5 or 5/10 times 0.3 or 3/10. So very similar to the example that I had done just off the top of my head, but hey, that's okay. Let's rewrite it, and you know what? I already have 0.5 here or 5/10 here, nice. So I'm going to save myself. I'm going to work smarter and not harder here, and just write 0.3 or 3/10 right underneath it. And so this way I don't get confused. I'm going to cross that out, just so this way I don't get confused. And again, we are multiplying, so I'm going to write that there too. Okay, now my second step was to multiply. I'm not paying attention to the decimal places right now. I am just multiplying. So 3 times 5 is 15. Put the 5 here. Put the 1 up here. 3 times 0 is 0 plus 1 is 15. Or actually, I should say, no, 3 times 0 plus 1 is 5, not 15. But I'm left with 15 there. And in the previous example, I didn't show what I did with the zeros, but let me just go through that anyway. So I have to put my placeholder 0 in there. And now 0 times 5 is 0. And also 0 times 0 is 0. So I leave that there. And now part of multiplication, right? Now you have to add this. 5 plus 0 is 5. 1 plus 0 is 1. And just a 0 there. I don't need to put that there, so I'm not going to. All right, my third step now was to count the decimal places. So in 0.5 or 5/10, there is one decimal place. There is one number to the right of that decimal point. So I've got one there, and let's add that in. And again, I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm just going to use the red marker. So we've got 1, and let's check this one out. 0.3 or 3/10. Same thing. We've got one number to the right of the decimal point. So we add, I shouldn't say we add, we place a 1 there, and then we add 1 and 1, and we know that there are 2 decimal places that I need to account for here. So the next step is to add a decimal point to the right of the number. Insert 1 there. So we inserted 1 there, and then we're going to move the decimal point by how many places are here, which are 2. So I move the decimal point 1, 2 places, and I end up with an answer of 0.15 or 15/100. All right, one more example for you. The other thing too is that you can add a 0 here if that's easier for you. That's totally up to you, right? We had that 0 that was right here. You can bring that down if you want. If not, you can just leave it. You don't necessarily need to. That's up to you, and whatever is easier or makes more sense in your brain. Let's go on to example number 2, because we're going to mix things up a little bit here. We've got 2.6 times 0.44. So 2.6 or 2 6/10 times 44/100. Now, we said we're going to rewrite the problem so this way the numbers are on top of each other. But remember, this isn't addition, it's not subtraction. So the order in which we write these numbers isn't going to matter. Now, I like to write the number with the more digits on top. And technically, 0.44 has 3 digits in it. So I'm going to put that on top. And I'm going to put 44/100 on top. And I'm going to rewrite just 2.6 or 2 6/10 below. Now, as you see here, a little different than adding decimals. You don't need to line up the decimal point. All right? You just need to write them so this way numbers are on top of one another. That's it. Now, that was step 1. Step 2, we are going to multiply. 6 times 4 is 24. Bring down the 4. Carry the 2. 6 times 4 again is 24. Plus 2 is 26. Bring that here. Carry the 2. 6 times 0 is 0. Plus 2 is 2. Awesome. Now I insert my 0, and I multiply this top number by 2. 2 times 4 is 8. And 2 times 4 is 8. And 2 times 0 is 0. And again, I don't necessarily need to add a 0 in this spot here. You can if you want, but you don't have to. I'm going to choose not to in this case. I'm going to write my equal bar there. And now add 4 plus 0 is 4. 6 plus 4 is 14. 4, carry the 1. 2 plus 8 is 10. Plus 1 is 11. Awesome. Now, step number 3, counting decimal places. So in 44/100, I have 2 numbers now to the right of the decimal point. So I'm going to write in a 2 right here. I'm running it in parentheses just so this way I don't get confused. And on this bottom one, I've got 1 digit to the right of the decimal point. So I'm going to write a 1 right there. And I have 3 total numbers to the right of the decimal point. Now, on to step 4. Step 4, the first part of that, I'm going to insert my decimal point to the right up. And you know what? I want to stick to using red there. I had changed the color for a moment, a little prematurely. So we're going to use red for the decimal point. We're going to put it here. And now I have to move it 3 spots to my left. So 1, 2, and 3. And I'm going to insert the decimal point there. And we are now left with an answer as 1.144. So I can erase these so this way you can see it a little clearer. And this way you know what your answer is. So there it is, 1.44. That is your answer, or 1 and 144 thousandths. Okay, that's all we have for you in this video. I hope that you found this one helpful. and that you now know how to multiply decimals. If there's anything you're unsure, feel free to go back in the video, watch it again. Also, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment if you have a question. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about the video. I'd love to hear your feedback. Once again, my name is Mr. A. This channel is Master Mathematics. Until next time, adios.